What is up, y'all? It is your girl Chanel, and welcome to a vlog, a podcast slash vlog. I felt like I wanted to kind of come on and give a visual. Hopefully, I do not have lipstick on my teeth. I am trying out this one of Rihanna's beauty products from Fenty Beauty, and I was just putting it on for the first time. I bought this months ago. I wear the black hue that I have, and I never wore this one, and I wanted to test it out because it's the holidays and I am all about that red lipstick, especially during the holiday season. Not that I have a lot of places to go in the midst of a pandemic, but just thinking of like the holiday photo shoot my husband, myself, and my baby boy will have, this will go perfectly with our, cheesy Christmas pajamas if we're gonna have that moment. I told my husband, I said, listen, I went through pregnancy, went through labor and delivery, like our bundle of joy is here. We're gonna do all that corny stuff. Thank God he's here for it. So from like October, I had purchased matching holiday pajamas for all three of us. And so on Christmas Day, my mom has like a bomb camera. I'll have her, she's gonna be here anyway, but she'll take the picture of the photo of us, in a part of our house. So that's why I was testing out this lipstick. And let's keep it real. It's a pandemic still. I'm a new mom. Like, where am I going to be able to wear lipstick? So why not be able to have a moment on camera for you? I do have something on, so no worries. So yes, I feel like I have recorded so many podcast episodes since I published my labor and delivery one several months ago, and I did not publish all of these episodes that I recorded. And normally when I get the feeling of let's wait on this, let's think about this, I take that seriously, listen to my gut and my intuition, and say maybe how I came across or how I expressed what I was feeling or thinking might not have been in the best of ways, or it may get misconstrued. So anytime I feel any level of hesitation, I just don't publish whatever episode. So what this vlog is going to entail is me just giving a synopsis of what all of those episodes were in a better way, so to speak, right? So we're gonna take it back to election day, right? It wasn't that long ago, but I feel like I recorded this election day episode so many times, but pretty much this is what I'm gonna leave you with that, right? When I went to vote on election day that evening, where I go to vote is literally like walking distance from my house. Driving wise, it took me 2 minutes to get there. I had to wait till my husband came home from work so that he could hold down the baby. I wasn't gonna bring the baby to the polls and be around people. So I left my house at about maybe 5 or 10 to 7 p.m. I literally went inside and voted and was back in my car by like 7:05, 7:08. So for all of y'all that were out there doing your early votes, casting your ballots early, thank you, because your girl didn't have to wait on any line. I went in and literally came out. The thing that took me the longest amount of time with those few minutes that I spent at this particular location voting was the fact that I didn't know, if I'm being honest, who the hell I wanted to vote for. And when I say that, meaning I knew I wasn't voting for Trump. I really didn't want to vote for Biden, but I didn't do enough of my homework or know enough about the liberal party that was running to even vote for them. So I literally said a prayer as I'm in the little booth area, like, Lord, I don't know who to vote for. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with any of these folks on this ballot, right? So I said my prayer and I ended up voting for Biden, right? For me, it's a matter like this, like similar to the last election when it was Trump running against Hillary Clinton. It was, to me, still the lesser of the two evils. I'm someone who, just because you're a woman and you're running, that doesn't make me feel pressed to vote for you because I'm a woman and you're a woman, right? Or just because you, like Bush, his son, when he ran years ago and he identified as being a Christian, I'm a Christian. So just because you're a Christian and you're running and I'm a Christian, that doesn't mean that I'm going to automatically vote for you because our faith is in alignment, right? Just because you're black and I'm black doesn't necessarily mean that I am for sure going to vote for you, right? Or you have a piece of black roots in your blood doesn't mean that I am for sure going to vote for you, right? It's about what your whole campaign is about. And y'all know me. I don't believe half of what the media says, these politicians say. Like, I don't feed into all of that, right? So you can even have like the most amazing campaign ever. If in my spirit it's not leading me to vote for you, guess what? I'm not going to vote for you, regardless of if we have the same color skin, regardless of if we're the same gender, regardless of if we have the same faith. That's not necessarily going to solidify my vote. And so just in knowing that about myself, I was just like, I don't know. So, I ended up voting for Biden. And, while everybody was doing cartwheels and skipping in the street the next day, it was very clear that, he was ahead on with all the votes and that he was more than likely going to win, regardless of, Trump asking for the votes to be recounted. I still wasn't necessarily out here doing somersaults down the street because I don't know that I don't like him that much either for my own reasons, right? And what all of this taught me was this. And I'll recap what I did in a previous vlog that I did, I think, back in October, November. Just because social media has given such a space and an arena and a platform for us to get out what we feel, think, and say. Hello, I'm one of the first ones to do that, right? More so, not like with my social media, but using my social media to direct you to whatever platform I'm using to get out my thoughts and feelings. So because the world functions in that way now, it's as though it's expected that you speak your political views, and that you have to prove that you voted, or that you have to put out there who you voted for, or things of that nature. And so, recapping that, I still remember that political views are a very personal thing. Let's keep it real, folks. There are people who have gotten killed out here because of their political views. It has been known to end friendships and romantic relationships and family ships because we don't see eye to eye politically. Like, that is something that's very personal. Like I've said before, it's like asking someone how many sexual partners they have, or if they've ever contracted an STD or a STI. Like, it's personal, right? So this whole experience reminded me of that just from what I was seeing, what I've been seeing on social media. It also reminded me, or showed me, taught me that my political views cannot just be wrapped up in a cute little box with a cute little bow that says I'm a Democrat, or I'm a Republican, or I'm a liberalist, right? When I first registered to vote, this was when I was 19 years old, I was in college. I was like, why not? Registered to vote. And I aligned myself with the Democratic Party, right? I'm a black person, we're Democrats, right? That's kind of like almost bred in you, or in most people in the black community or in your households, who actually have registered to vote and have, voted in their lifetime. A lot of times you hear of them identifying as being a Democrat. So for me, that was a no-brainer. When I registered to vote, I'm a Democrat. Me now, as a 37-year-old woman versus that 19-year-old that initially registered to vote, I'm recognizing that my political views and opinions are not necessarily fitting only in a Democratic box or Republican box or a liberalist box. And so, I'm not going to necessarily just rock out with you and cast my vote for you because I'm this and you're a Democrat, or you're running for this party. You know what I'm saying? So, or representing this particular political party. So, I learned that about myself as well. There are parts of me, as I always say, I am the most unorthodox traditional person that I know, right? There are a lot of parts of me and sides to me that are unorthodox. I don't go with the norm a lot of times. While everybody's going right, your girl's over here going left, right? But there are specific areas within my life and just within who I am as a person where I am a bit more traditional, right? So similar to like this whole political perspective thing. There are parts of me that, yes, I'm in alignment with the Democrats, and there are parts of me where maybe I agree with the Republicans on this, and there are parts of me where I just may agree on these few issues with the liberals. You know, like, it's hard to just put it all in one category, nice and neatly. And I recognized that when I was in that booth, you know. And I've said this before, I'll say it again, and then I will not go down that rabbit hole further. I am one that does not believe that presidents are elected by the people, right? I do believe that they are selected by the powers that be. I do believe that a lot of stuff is rigged in this life, right? A lot of things are rigged, I believe, from the presidential elections to the to sporting events and Super Bowls and NBA chips and MLB chips and when I say chips, of course, I mean championship games. And I do believe that some of our favorite artists that have made it, right, or that are in the forefront, their talent didn't necessarily get them there. I don't believe that what the news portrays on a day-to-day basis is really accurate, right? I believe things are skewed. I believe that things are rigged and that things are in a way for whatever reasons, right? And I believe that this is just how the world has been running from the beginning of time, you know? So in me knowing and recognizing all of this about myself, you could imagine the conundrum your girl was in when I was in the polls trying to cast a vote. Nonetheless, I voted for Biden, and it is what it is. Am I, like, once again, doing backflips about this? No. You know, my concern for him is, or my questions are more so, what are your intentions for the Black community? What are your intentions for the world at large, especially with the economy being what it is, right? There are people who are having to go to food pantries to feed their families, right? Like, what is going to be done about all of that? And so these are like legitimate questions that I have. I believe I know what I foresee happening, but I'll sit back and let it all play out, right? We'll see what happens. We'll see, you know, we'll see. That's all I can say. So I did a whole spiel on that. I gave you the truncated version. And so, yes, there's certain areas, lots of topics I have no issues with discussing, but when it comes to like politics and when it comes to certain things as it pertains to my faith, you know, I will go but so far with how I express my views, so to speak. It's okay to leave something for yourself. It's okay, even me being an open book, so to speak, I still feel like it's okay to still reserve certain viewpoints and perspectives that I have just for myself, right? And I'm for damn sure not going to get into debates and arguments and debacles with people, disagreements, you know, over politics or over religion or things of that nature, right? Me not doing it. I'm not going to expend my energy on stuff like that. What I just will say to everybody, as I always say, is keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. Look beyond the veil. Look beyond the veil. Look beyond the veil. Things are often, I sound weird. Things are often not what they seem. And so please just keep that in mind as we maneuver through this chaotic, crazy, beautiful thing called life, right? Trying to think. Oh, so there, you know, I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always watching YouTubers. You know, I like to be able to learn from anyone and everyone. Not anyone, but everyone in some capacity. And what I mean is, if you're younger than me, I don't necessarily discount that I can't learn something from you. Or if you walk a totally different style of life than what I do, it doesn't mean that I can't learn from you. If we come from completely different cultural backgrounds, it doesn't mean that I cannot learn from you. And so a lot of times, you know, I'm always finding myself when I have downtime, you know, throughout the day, just trying to see what I can pick up and learn from someone else. And it's funny, I was tuning into a podcast by Leah Janelle. She is a choreographer out in LA who has made a lot of noise in a short span of time. She has amazing choreography. She teaches classes in heels. The things that her and her team do in heels are just to a whole other level. And she started a podcast called After Class, which I think was a great title, where you're able to get to know her and two of her girlfriends who are also dancers. They dance alongside her. One of them works really closely with her, where you're able to get to know them in a different way, through a different lens, other than just being dancers and choreographers. And so she, on her episode that she released, one of the episodes she released this week, she was just discussing how she was in a bit of a funk, and I guess after Thanksgiving, maybe the day after, and just how, someone who, was close to her, it might have been someone in her family, whichever loved one in her life, kind of pulled her coattail about a few things and was brutally honest with her about a couple of things that kind of, had to make her sit and think. But throughout that process of her processing what was expressed to her, it did cause her to fall into a slight depression that she said she was able to get herself out of. And it got me to thinking, because she said she recognized with this person who was having this conversation with her, she noticed their personal growth, and in them growing within themselves, they were able to kind of call her out on a few things, I would like to think lovingly, when it comes to her. And she said, she's the first one that's like, no, I never argue. When someone is expressing how they feel about something, I'm not just waiting to respond, I'm actually listening to them. But then she said, she found in this instance that she actually can be argumentative, and she actually does find herself, while someone's expressing how they feel about something, thinking more so, okay, now what I'm going to say, okay, so now I'm going to address this, I'm going to hit this, I'm going to say this to you, because as opposed to really trying to see and hear where this person is coming from. And it sounded like they gave her some truth serum about herself, and it sounds like maybe, she might have took a few steps away from humility for a moment, and maybe they were lovingly trying to reel her in. I'm not quite too sure. She didn't really get into all of what was said, or really what was said to her, but it inferred in some way, or she inferred in some way that, that she needs to go back to, I guess, what she kind of realized just with this pandemic, and just, with whatever this loved one said to her about her, that as opposed to being so focused on being this YouTube phenomenon, this choreographer extraordinaire, this Instagrammer, that's killing a game, or influencer that's killing the dance game, to remember who she is and who she was before all of that, right? And it's funny that she said that, because in a couple of episodes prior to this one, I found myself starting to get a slight bitter taste in my mouth when it came to her, because it started to feel like she was feeling herself just a little too much, which was coming off a little like, ooh. And I was even questioning, is this someone who I even want to continue to support? And when I say continue to support, meaning like when the pandemic first happened, like she was doing she couldn't have dance class in the traditional sense, right? Because of the coronavirus. So what she was doing was, through Full Out TV, she was actually, having class virtually, and you would pay your fee and you'd be able to like learn. And I remember I actually purchased one of the classes she did. I think this was kind of one of the songs that really got her the attention, where everybody's like, yo, who is this girl? Like, this girl could dance. Like, that choreography is fire. And that was to a particular song. I think it was the Booty remix. And she actually retaught that one, because it's like a oldie but a goodie. And so I actually spent my good coin, not that the class was expensive, and supported her in purchasing that particular tutorial, even though I was very pregnant and wasn't going to be out here busting it wide open in my house. I always wanted to kind of experience how she teaches, because when she uploads her videos on YouTube, you more so just see the finished product and whoever she's selected to do her choreography at the end of class. Like, you would get little clips of her teaching, but you never really got to see how she teaches. And for me, I'm always curious about that as someone who, I teach dance at a not at the level that she does, but I do teach dance, and something that I've kind of done most of my life, teaching some level of choreography. And, I'm always, once again, looking to learn, not to like swagger jack what she does, because y'all know I'm against all things swagger jacking out here, but more so just to get a sense of, I'm just curious as to how does she teach? How does she run her classes, And so I supported it, and I questioned whether I wanted to continue to support her in that way when I started to get a slight sense that, where's the humility, right? And we're human, it happens. I can only imagine if I had over 2 million followers on Instagram and over 2 million subscribers on YouTube, and I'm getting paid out here, and before the pandemic happened, I'm being asked to go all over the world to teach my choreography. Like, I'm probably in the local Starbucks, and some people may recognize who I am. Like, I could only imagine how that could kind of naturally swell your head a little bit. We're all human. It can happen, right? None of us are above that happening. But I'm glad it's crazy. Like I always say, my intuition is so spot on. Sometimes it's scary, right? Because there's certain things I don't want to be right about, right? And when I find like, damn it, my intuition was right about that situation, this was kind of one of them where it was like, yeah, kind of the energy, because she's big on the universe and big on energy and tarot cards and all that kind of stuff that I don't really get down with, but it was interesting that her energy was starting to read a little after a while. And so maybe, I guess it was necessary for whoever it was in her life to kind of, talk to her. And so I'm really talking about this not to specifically talk about this choreographer, but more so the principle behind everything. And I think we all can apply this in our own lives, right? Because one, what stood out to me is when she said, this person is growing. And she actually said, this person in my life who's growing, it's not conducive for me. And I thought that was some real shit to say. That was a real thing to say. Like, I don't think a lot of us want to admit it, but sometimes when people close to us in our lives are growing, right, and they're elevating to be better thems or to be a better person, a lot of times that's not going to make everyone around you comfortable because they were used to you being a certain kind of way. And sometimes in us growing, maybe it gives us the balls to more so say, hey friend or hey family member, I love you, but this is where I draw the line. Like, this is my boundary line with certain things, or maybe they're just lovingly saying something to you that'll just be helpful, right? Like, I don't know that this particular area, maybe you should look into this particular thing in your life or this particular attribute about yourself, because it kind of comes off as this, like, and I had to I always try to hold the mirror up to myself first before anybody else, right? So I was like, damn, have you ever felt that way, Chanel? Have you ever encountered where someone in your life was growing for the better and it started to make you feel uncomfortable, or it seemed like it wasn't conducive for you, or maybe they called you out on certain things that might not have been that comfortable, and in the beginning, when I see my loved ones growing, I love that, because I am the friend and the family member that wants all of us to be the best us that we could be. You know what I'm saying? Because then that's going to make you a better daughter, a better son, a better mother, a better father, a better wife, a better husband, a better friend, a better family member. Like, I want that, but I'd be lying if I said that in someone close to you growing, at times it can become uncomfortable for you if you're noticing damn, they really called me out on something, or if you're noticing a certain boundary that's being drawn, or you're noticing, damn, well maybe I need to work on that myself. You know what I'm saying? But for me, ultimately, like I said, I'm the one that's always trying to push us all to be our best selves, right? Starting with myself, I'm always trying to push myself to be a great person in general, right? You know what I'm saying? Even going down this journey of being a new mom, like, it's crazy. One thing I love about my mom, every time she sees my son, my baby, she she hugs him, kisses him up, holds him, has that great moment, and she's like, "Is your mommy taking good care of you?" And then she'll say, "Because I think your mommy's taking good care of you." And my mom is always like constantly telling me, and this is without me even like fishing for it or like asking input, but she just encourages me, and she's just like, "Chanel, you're doing a really good job. Like, the bond that you guys have." She was like, "Girl, thank God you didn't have to run back to work, because I don't know how you were gonna leave him with anybody." Because he's at that stage where if I'm not in the room, he'll cry, he'll fuss, like, he's always looking to see where I am. If he's not in my arms or sitting on my lap, he's always looking to see where is mommy in the room, right? Even if he's with daddy, he's always paying attention to where mommy is. And, she was just like, at first, I was like, damn, am I like holding him too much? Or, is this considered spoiling him? And then, your girl had to do some research and talk to a few other moms, and including my own, of course. And, it's just like, my mom's like, no, that's probably what he needs, like, it's important. These are the years the months that are so important. Like, the foundation is being laid right now. And of course it starts from the womb, because, if you're kind of detached from your child as you're carrying them, you best believe that's going to affect them when they are born. You know what I'm saying? And so even my mother-in-law, as I always say, I love her. Our relationship has always been a work in progress. There's something to be said about how babies could bridge a gap in families. What I will say is, I don't know that, because some people like to have babies to make their marriages or their relationships better. I don't think that they help out in those areas. But I think as far as like the family structure, whether it's the grandparents or like siblings, in a crazy way, babies kind of help to bridge the gap with certain things. And, I make sure that I am around my in-laws a lot more now, because we do have a baby, and because I know he is at the age where if I'm not in the room or I'm not around, that could be a problem for him and everybody else that's going to have to deal with him. So yes, I'm there when we're seeing my mother-in-law and, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and all that kind of stuff. So, even for my mother-in-law to say, like, you guys are doing a really good job with him, and, this is something that she's consistently saying. Of course, this is something my mom is consistently saying, that warms my heart. A college friend hit me up randomly today and was just like, "You're doing a great job." And, I don't know what I radiate. I do post, pics on my Insta story about him, and more so I do that because I have family outside of my, my parents and like my brother and, my husband and stuff like that, who don't have the privilege of seeing him. And so I feel like the baby years, those like the baby months, the first year of a baby's life goes by so fast. Like, I can't believe my baby's about to be 5 months. Like, I had a baby 5 months ago. Sometimes it feels like I just had him yesterday. The way internally my body feels, a lot of times it feels like I just had him. So I recognize that, these moments, they go by so fast, and I'm trying to capture them, through pictures as much as I can. And it just makes my life easier to be able to post something. And a lot of my family I'm connected to on social media, they're able to see it. We're able to have a conversation about it, and we move on, right? And so, for one of my girlfriends from college to be able to say, you're doing a good job, and this, that, and the third, and giving me encouraging words, and, reminding me of the importance of balancing my life and finding that balance now that I am a mom, it was, I'm like, wow, I don't ask. I'm not, how there's some people out here who go fishing for compliments, or like, it's like you'll know this kind of personality. Even in real life, they go fishing for compliments. And when I say real life, I mean like face-to-face life, or even on social media. There are those, and no judgment, but that'll kind of fish for compliments, or fish for, I want to know what you thought about me when you first met me, or what did you, or they're asking for people to give feedback about them to them, right? I'm definitely not one of those kinds of people. So I don't really go asking, you know, do you think I'm a good mom, or do you think I'm doing good? Like, no, I just take care of my child like, as best as I can, and try to learn as much as I can. So when God sends people along the way, that's amazing. And especially coming from my own mother, like to get that validation from your own mom, your own mama, like that's amazing. So shout outs to you for that, Mom. You know, you never hesitate to let me know that I'm doing a great job with my son, and that means the world to me. You know, y'all know I'm about emotional balance and emotional health and mental health and being a sane individual in these streets of the world. And so that is definitely what I am striving to do, my husband and I, as a team, as a unit. And me as a mother, it's definitely something that I'm striving to do. And it starts with the bond now. Like, I want my son to have a healthy attachment, to learn how to have healthy relationships and attachments with others, to learn how to have a healthy attachment when it comes to women. Like, all these things are super important, right? You know, my husband has his part that only he can do, and then I have my part that only I can do. And I'm just trying to strive to do that, right? And how did we get here? So I say all of that to say, you know, that it's important to have people in your life who are going to be honest with you when it comes to the positive things, and like to give you that encouragement and maybe that positive reinforcement that you may need, that you don't even know that you need, right? As well as when it comes to the difficult conversations that you may not want to have. And so for me, I find that I love when my friends are growing. I love when my family is growing and everyone is working on themselves, you know. And I think that I have went through it on the other end, where I was the one that was growing, and it might have made things uncomfortable for the people around me, right? Because maybe I drew a boundary line with this person that I didn't necessarily draw when I was 26 with you, but I drew that line with you when I was 31, you know. And people, that's not going to make people naturally comfortable, right? You know, anytime you have to have that difficult conversation, especially with a good friend, you know, depending on the maturity level, the emotional maturity level, that may not be an easy feat, you know. And being able to take it too, right? And I had a girlfriend or two, you know, kind of, you know, be honest with me about certain things when it comes to me and my personality, or maybe something that I might have said or did that they didn't like, you know. And of course, it's not an easy thing to have to deal with in the moment, but we're friends and I got to hear you out, right? Because at the end of the day, my intention is not to hurt you. My intention is not to make you feel bad or make you feel some kind of way. And a lot of times I find, and I probably often say this, that a lot of people don't have self-awareness out there, meaning you don't know what you give off. You may not know your own behavioral patterns, why you do the things that you do, or even that you do the things that you do. And so it's helpful when you're able to have someone in your corner who loves you and who knows you, who's able to be honest with you. And I find that those are the friendships in my life that last, right? Because we're able to be honest with one another, regardless of whether we wanted to hear it or we didn't want to hear it. We're able to respect one another's opinions and perspectives and thoughts and feelings about certain things, and have those conversations, and then make sure that we don't do that thing again that might have offended or hurt or bothered our friend. You know what I'm saying? So the people that are still in my life, I feel like, are people where we can have that honest and real kind of friendship, where we can really be real with one another. You know what I'm saying? And where we can push one another to be our best selves, and where we could genuinely be happy for one another, right? It's not a case of, and the thing that I love so much, whether we're close or not, more and more and more and more people that I know have really been able to elevate themselves and their families, right? Whether that means purchasing a home, you know, whether that means getting a great job situation, like, and I think that's a beautiful thing. That same said friend that hit me up to say, oh girl, you're doing a good job. I'm praying for y'all. You've been on my mind. Her and her family were able to buy a house. Like these are amazing things. You know what I'm saying? Which brings me to something else. Because I don't really really talk about this much, but I just wish we all could celebrate one another more when it comes to those kinds of things and use it as inspiration. I might have told this on a vlog that's on complexsimplicity.com. Yeah, I got so much content over there. Go check it out. So the first time I witnessed someone in my age box being able to progress in their lives to that where they were able to purchase a condo was one of my cousins, a male cousin of mine. And he invited us over. This is when I was just dating my husband. We were not married. We were not engaged. And I remember we went over to his house. He lives in Westchester, a very nice town in Westchester, close to White Plains, New York. He lived on a penthouse floor. And when I say his condo was dope, y'all, he still lives there. His condo is dope, okay? And my now husband and I went, and we were like, yo, this place is crazy. We are so happy for you. This is great. Mind you, my cousin is my brother's age. My brother has me by 4 years. So he's in my age box, right? I'm in my latter 20s when he gets this place. I have my own apartment. I'm renting a basement apartment, my woman cave. Crazy enough, one of my favorite apartments that I've had, right? And I've had apartments that might have aesthetically looked better than this particular basement apartment. But for some reason, I still loved this apartment, and everyone else did too. Like, it was weird. But anyway, I digress. And for me, that was inspiration, right? It was inspiration to be able to see not only somebody that I know, but somebody in my family who is young. Because if I was in my latter 20s, he was like in his early 30s, right? If I was like 28, he was like 32, something like that. To see that he was able to get his own condo, and it was dope, it was nice. And for me, that was inspiration to say, Chanel, this is something that is real. You don't necessarily have to be 48. No shade to anyone who's 48 that just purchased a home. But you don't necessarily have to be in your 40s or your 50s before you can close on a home, before you can purchase a home, right? And so I remember storing that in my memory as like, wow, that is super dope. Like, yes, this is achievable, right? You know, of course you'll have to work hard and save a good coin and have a plan, but this is something that is achievable because my cousin did it, right? Now, fast forward, because if this happened, and I may have the ages off, I was between 25 and probably 28 when this happened. Fast forward to when I'm 32, because I get married at 31. I'm 32, and my husband and I end up closing on our home, right? Had you have told me when I was between the ages of 25 and 28, when it was happening for my cousin, that was going to be my reality just a few short years later, I would have been like, oh, you bugging out. You know what I'm saying? But you just never know. And this is why I always encourage people who are dating to make sure you guys have these kinds of conversations while you're dating, so you're aware of what you both want, right? So that was a great moment for my now husband and I to have that conversation. You know, on our way home from hanging out with my cousin in his dope condo, we were able to say, yo, like, yeah, would you ever want to live in a condo or a house, or would you ever want to be a homeowner, or what are your thoughts on that? And we were able to have that conversation, and we were both clearly on the same page of what we wanted. We both were clear that if and when we were to have a child, if and when we were to get married, that we wanted to be able to not live in an apartment, so to speak. We wanted to be able, we both agreed on the type of neighborhood we would want to live in. We both agreed we wanted to be in more of a suburban neighborhood and things of that nature. So we got the ball rolling with those kinds of conversations. I always say, if you're going to date somebody and be with them all day, every day, or be with them very often, because let's keep it real, when you're dating someone, especially when it's fresh, especially when it's kind of new and you're getting to know one another, like, you're around each other more than you're not, unless it's long distance. And even if it is long distance, you're still talking on the phone or FaceTiming, like, you know, you're having conversations with one another more than not. So, you know, talk about these things, converse about these major things, about children, about home ownership, about whatever. Talk about these things because it's important, to know where each other stands. Talk about if one of us were to be out of work, how would we maneuver that? What would the expectations be? Talk about these things. These things are super important because life is so unpredictable. You never know where it'll take you, so to speak. And so I love the fact that more and more people that I know, whether it's people I went to college, whether people I grew up with, or people in my own family that are advancing themselves and or their families to being able to own homes. I think that is a beautiful thing, right? And for me, I could have easily went the other route and been a hater, been a super hater, and been jealous. Who he think he is? I'm living up in this basement apartment. I've been on my own for several years, and he buy a condo. I could have been a hater, but that's just not who I am. Like, I was super excited. I was like, yo, this is so dope. Like I said, it was motivation and inspiration for us. You know what I'm saying? Just in seeing it, right? And so let's be motivated and inspired. If you see that there's someone in your life, someone who's close to you that is progressing and advancing in ways that you would love to, and maybe it's not your turn or your time just yet, please don't be a hater about that. Like, be happy for them and use that as inspiration, right? Use that as inspiration. Because there are some people out there who want to be the ones to be doing the best out of the group or out of the crew, if we're keeping it real. We've all come across someone or people, maybe we've gone through this ourselves, where we want to be, I want everybody to do well, but I want to do well first. Or I want everybody to do well, but I want to be doing the best. Like, to me, that's whack. Like, let's be happy for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I feel badly, like, damn. My friends who probably listen to my podcast or watch my vlogs or maybe conversations we had over the years, I feel like the ones who are still plotting their way to get their own and to really walk into that level of independence, whether that's getting your own place, whether it's renting, whether it's owning, whatever it is. I feel like every time they see me, it's like, this time next year, I'm going to have my place. And I'm like, yes, I'm glad. I'm happy for you. Have a plan for sure. But I'm like, damn, like, do I harp on this a lot where my own friends feel like they have to be like, this time next year, girl, I'm going to have my own, But then I'm like, you know what? But Chanel, that's not a bad thing. Like, you have that personality where you want to push all of you all to do well, right? And when I say do well, I don't necessarily mean as far as like materialistically and things of that nature, but when I talk about independence and like getting your own and having your own place, and I'm very passionate when it comes to my girls, if possible, about being able to live on your own and experience life on your own before you're with someone, or before you're getting married, and living, not before you're with someone, but before you're getting married to someone. It's because I understand the tools that are necessary and the learning curve that's necessary for you to have on your own, and it gives you room to make certain mistakes and to learn certain lessons on your own, right? It's not to say that if you move straight from your parents' house or a family member's house to live with your significant other, your fiance, it doesn't mean that you're doomed. Of course not. Like, I know people who, they went straight from their parents' house to live with their man or their woman, and they're still doing great. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I just feel, or I know because I experienced it myself, that there was a lot of self-development and necessary things for me to work on within myself that I was able to do in learning how to truly take care of myself. And when I say take care of myself, keeping a roof over my head, keeping the lights on, having, at least trying to scramble to have something in the refrigerator, like, I understand how character building that is, and how it pushes you to grow, and how it pushes you to learn that there is so much in this world you could live without. And it just gives you experience that is necessary, right? So then by the time you are in a partnership or a marriage, then it's like you're actually bringing something to you're bringing a certain level of experience to the table, and then you have a a different kind of knowledge of self, right? The knowledge of who you are and what you're made of, right? Because you had to literally take care of yourself, right? And it doesn't mean that you don't have people like your family supporting you from afar, but when you got to get up that rent every month, and when you have to pay that Con Edison bill or that Orange and Rockland bill or whatever your electricity bill is, when you have to pay, for the bare necessities to survive, right? When you have to be able to do these things, it just develops you to a different level, right? So I think that's why when it came to me now being a mom, guess what? I already knew how to take care of myself as an individual, right? Then I learned how to cohabitate as in a marital situation, and then now, okay, we have a child to take care of, right? So it's hard for me to explain. I'm sure people who have experienced this, you get what I'm saying, but it just gives you a certain kind of edge. It gives you a certain type of edge, a certain kind of knowledge, a certain kind of strength, and maturity when you are able to do that. And so sometimes a part of me feels like, damn, do I harp on this a lot to where they got to be like, girl, a year from now this is what's gonna happen? But then the other side of me, it's like, well, this is good. Maybe I do need to be the slightly, and I don't talk about this with my friends all the time. I think it's more so when they listen to, like I said, my podcast or any vlogs that I do, that they kind of hear my thoughts at length with regards to these things. And I feel like I'm okay with being that annoying friend, if you will, when it comes to that, because at the end of the day, we're not in our 20s, right? We're knocking on 40. So, yes, if I have to be the annoying friend at times, to push us all to really self-develop, and I'm included, right, in the conversation, then I'm pushing myself just as much as I'm pushing those around me that I care about, right? And it's important to wrap everything up that I was saying as it pertains to this young lady's podcast and that whole topic. I think it is important, it's super important to have people in your life who can be honest with you, right? They can be honest with you when it comes to the great, amazing things that you're doing, and they can be honest with you when it comes to, hey friend, I love you. I think it's time that you move out. What's your plan? Are you saving? Like, how are you going to roll this out? What's the blueprint? What are the steps? You know what I'm saying? I think we all need someone like that, or people like that in our lives. And like I said, the friendships that remain are the friendships where we're able to be that for one another, right? And even when I think back, I'm glad that this is why I always talk about decisions and the importance of us making good decisions for our lives. And it's not to say that we're not going to have F-ups and make mistakes, because, hello, I do. But to ultimately make great decisions, because it does make your life a hell of a lot easier, y'all. That's one thing that my parents always harped on, my brother and I, to be clear and be very wise with your decisions, because one bad decision can set you back, can ruin your life essentially. And a lot of times the bad decisions and the sins and things that we do can affect those around us. It can affect our family, our significant others, our children, right? And I always carried that. I made my fair share of mistakes in life. I'm not perfect by any means, nor would I ever want to be, right? I feel like the world has this obsession with perfection, which is sickening, but that's another topic for another day. But to still be able to think through and make great choices, right? And even just in having my son, I am glad that I individually was able to make great choices, and my husband individually was able to make great choices, and then us collectively, we were able to make great choices to where we were in a place to bring a child into a world, into a very calm and sane and healthy situation. You know what I'm saying? Him being able to be in a home that is peaceful, him being able to be in a home that has space, him being able to be in a home where he has his own bedroom from the time he had his own bedroom from before he was even here, right? Before, like, we accounted for his bedroom when purchasing a home before we were ever even thinking of having kids at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so these are things that are important, right? You know, I could have easily, and I put this disclaimer out there because I feel like when I share my truth, right, others start to feel some kind of way because they might have taken a different route from me. So if you took a different route in your life from what I'm expressing, don't feel badly about that. Like, we all have our own stories and our own trails and our own journeys. You know what I'm saying? I found even being pregnant, you know, some of my loved ones were, you know, it's almost like my pregnancy was making them reflect on their lives, and I didn't quite understand why. Like, you know, we all are different and we all move how we move, right? Like I said, I've made my fair share of mistakes and continue to do at times in my life. But I was always very clear on the structure in which, how I wanted things to happen, right? I was clear after college, you know, you want to find a job. I was clear that after college, I wasn't going to remain in my parents' home for years and years. I gave myself a year. I think I moved out in less than a year. I was clear that I wanted to live on my own. I lived with a good girlfriend. Shout out to you, Keish. We lived together for 2 years. And then from that point on, I had to figure it out, right? I was able to then, I think I stayed with my niece and nephew's mom for about 10 months in transition. And then from that point on, I always had my own place, right? Shout outs to you, Princess, for that. I will always be thankful and appreciative for that. And then I was clear I wanted to live on my own before I got married, right? Then I got married. I was clear that I didn't want to have children right away after I got married. I got married at 31, got pregnant at 36. The way people make it seem out in these streets is as if it took your girl 10, 15 years to have a baby after being married. No, yes, I did date my husband for 7 years. I started dating him when I was 23. Like, I wasn't ready to get married in my 20s. Even though I thought I was at certain points, I wasn't, right? So I got married at 31, and then I knew I didn't want to have kids right away. So I had my first child at, probably my first and only, but I had a child at 36, right? So when you look at it that way, it doesn't seem like it took me 10 years to have a baby. I got married at 31, had a child by 36, right? So I was able to you know, my husband and I were able to build the foundation of our marriage. We were able to go through ups and downs. We were able to travel the world or parts of the world. We were able to get to know one another in a deeper way. We were able to grow individually and collectively before we brought another human being in the midst, right? And so I was always very clear on how I wanted that rollout to be when it came to life after college, right? Because I believe life after college, that's when you get hit with the real world, right? Your first real set of bills. If you had to take out student loans to go to school, you get hit with them first set of bills, right? So like after college, it's no more of the fun and games in the sense where mommy and daddy pay for everything. Mommy and daddy fix all my wrongs. Mommy and daddy continue to keep a roof over my head and pay my bills. Like, I knew, okay, Chanel, the way you want to live your life, you graduate college, you get a job. After a year of moving back home from college, you get your own place. Live on your own or live with a girlfriend, but don't live with your boo. Don't shack up with your man before y'all get married, right? Now, what I will say is I'm not going to sit up here in front like I didn't have sleepovers. I'll be very honest. It's grown, living on my own. But I wasn't going to live with, you know, my husband before we got married. And as much as I would love to say it was for Christianity purposes, it was really for the reason that I wanted to be able to still live my life. And when I say live my life, like have my own space, be able to like not have to be responsible for someone else's comfortability or someone else's, I didn't want to have to really think about someone else in that sense. Of course, you know, you're my boyfriend, and I'll, you know, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you and help you in any way I can. But I wasn't responsible for him when he was my boyfriend. Like when you're married, it's a different kind of situation, right? And I didn't want to do that. I was only in my 20s. I wanted to be able to like experience life living on my own or with a girlfriend or whatever before I was living with a guy. And so, you know, I made sure that that happened, and then we got married, and it wasn't necessarily our thought process that we were going to buy a house shortly after getting married. Like we got married at 31, and when I was 31, I should say, we got married, and then by 32, we bought a house. And so whatever God's plan was, he had a plan, right? We were thinking we had filled out for Co-op City, you know, we were waiting to hear back from them. You know, we had other plans. We knew eventually we wanted to purchase a home and things of that nature, but we didn't know that that was going to happen so fast, right? And so because I know what it's like and I know the benefits, right, of home ownership, and especially if you're thinking of having a family of your own, you know, at that point you're really planning for the future, because when you coming up with that bread and you're signing on the dotted line on several documents to own a home, you know, you're literally planning out and thinking about the future. You're thinking about when you do have kids, what school district do you want them to be in. You're thinking about, you know, the type of neighborhood you want to be in. You're thinking about location in terms of how close you are to your loved ones. You're thinking about these things, right? And now my husband and I are to the point where we're thinking about the next 10 years, right? We're thinking about when Lincoln is 10, you know, where are we going to live, right? That's when we're going to get the dream home, right? Like we want to build a home from the ground up. Like, so we're already thinking about what we want 10 years from now, right? Which is why it's great to be able to have a partner in life where you guys are in tune with those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? We're thinking we may not want New York to be our forever home, right? Or location. Like we're thinking about what life is going to be when my husband retires from his job in about 10 years, and we have a 10-year-old and all of that. Like we're thinking about that stuff now, and have even been thinking about that stuff from even like 2 years ago, right? So listen, y'all, like I feel like I'm taking you around a whole loop-de-loo right now, but just follow me, stay with me. It's important to surround yourself with people who are about shit, okay? It is important to surround yourself with people who are taking steps to be their best selves, right? Emotionally, mentally, and just even practically with living life, right? Let's keep it real. We all, I would like to think, want to grow, right? We all want to get to a place where maybe we can, if our parents did well for themselves, do as well as them or do better. Maybe if our parents were never able to be homeowners, or maybe if our parents, you know, they always worked hard but still had to struggle. Like it was always about the struggle. Like at some point we all want to be able to do better for the future generations, and it's important to surround yourself with people who are like-minded in that area, right? Because that could be your very inspiration and motivation. It's like I said, granted, my parents are homeowners, and I was very aware of what that was, and I was able to be fortunate enough to, you know, live in homes, live in suburbia, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny because when I went to college, you know, a lot of times people are like, you're from where? You're from Mount Vernon? Oh, that's whack. Oh, because I wasn't from the boroughs. And I'm like, no, I'm actually love the fact that I'm from a small suburban town, and I love the fact that the grass was green without glass being in it. I love the fact that there were driveways. I love the fact, I liked living in a small town. I liked the suburban lifestyle, right? And when I lived on my own, your girl lived a little more in the hood. That was what my coin could afford, right? Not like hoods where I felt like I was like looking over my shoulder when I got off the train at night, but like I wasn't living the suburban lifestyle for the most part when I was on my own, but I always knew I was going to return to that, right? I knew, okay, Chanel, we're going to do this hood living real quick. It's all good. It's all good, right? You're going to go back to, you'll go back to from whence you came when it's time. But right now, get this real lesson in life and make sure that you are living somewhere that you can afford, right? And so, my husband and I, another conversation we had prior to being married, we knew we wanted to live in suburbia, especially in raising a family, and we're able to do that. So like surround yourself with people. Well, that's what I was trying to say. Me seeing my own cousin, who was only 4 years older than me, make it happen, that's something that stuck with me. Yes, my parents are homeowners and were homeowners, and I grew up with that. But it's something to be said when you see it, someone do it who is in your age box, right? They're around your age, and they made it happen. However they made it happen, they made it happen. And that fueled something in me to where I was like, that's achievable. Like, I don't have to be 50 years old for this to become a reality. Like, I can be in my 30s and this be a reality if I do it right. And now in hindsight, I'm like, damn, Chanel, if you were more responsible with your coin back then, maybe you could have owned something. You know what I'm saying? Because another thing, I believe we feel like we got to make all this money to be able to own a home. It depends on the amount of the home and your income. Like, you'd be surprised what you can make happen with your income, right? It's all about the planning. It's all about the saving and the responsibility, and like being very diligent with that. And like, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish. The way that I have been able to save money during this pandemic prior, because I really started aggressively saving in February, right? I found out I was pregnant in November. I started aggressively saving in February. And the way that I was able to aggressively save, granted, God bless me, where money was coming at me from all angles, I was like, what is going on? Like, I could have just been tricking and spending that money, tricking it on myself and my husband, and buying the baby a bunch of unnecessary things, right? But I saved a lot of that money, right? And of course, being in a pandemic helped. Where am I going? What is it that I really need to buy right now? I'm in the house. So I didn't go crazy with buying maternity clothing and all this kind of stuff. I'm in the house. So I was able to really, save a lot of money. And I do give myself credit, because this has been a struggle for me for a lot of my adult years, but I finally figured it out, right? And you have that light bulb aha moment. And so the way that I save now, if I was doing that when I was on my own, if I was doing that for that first 10 months to a year that I lived with my parents before I got a place with my friend, the amount of money that I could have had, I would have been able to invest in a condo or something. And so, I'm glad that I had it right in the sense of understanding the importance of getting out of my parents' house and getting my own, because I moved out when I was 23 years old, right? So I was on the right track with that. I just wish sometimes that I was more fiscally responsible and cognizant of the importance of me being responsible with my money and saving aggressively, because at that point, I could have already had a condo that I was living in. I could have come into the marriage owning something already. Like, that doesn't hurt either, right? And so that's why, I probably am the friend that tries to push the ones that don't live on their own. Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? Because when I even think about myself, I was like, I was ahead of the curve with certain things with that, but then I was like behind the curve when it came to my fiscal responsibility, right? It was the grace of God as far as how I was never evicted or things of that nature where, I was able to keep a roof over my head, like I think I lived on my own for 7 years, before I got married. So like I could have even been ahead of the curve with my finances, right? So that's why I'm hoping my friends that have been home all this time and family members and loved ones in general, that you've been saving a good coin, right? That's one thing my husband always says, like, yo, if you're going to stay home, if you're going to be in your 30s, knocking on your 40s, or you're in your 40s and you still live with your family, you still live with your parents, your bank account better be hella big. Like, you better have a serious, hefty coin in that account. Like, and even if you are paying some level of rent to stay with a family member or your parents, at the end of the day, I doubt that they're charging you the $1,500 that it would cost for a typical one bedroom or the $1,800, right? So you gotta save, right? So I'm hoping, and my prayer is that everyone that I know who I love and care about, or even those of you who I don't know that may be watching this, who are still home, living with family or whatever may have you, that you got a hell of amount of money, you got a hell of a stash saved. Like, have something to show for it, so to speak. And so that's one of my few regrets, right? I had it right with getting up out of my parents' house when I was 23. But I could have managed to save. And some may say, well, maybe if you didn't leave at 23 and you stayed till you were 25 or 28, or you stayed till you were 30, then maybe you would have had a coin. And my answer to that is no, I wouldn't have, right? Because it wasn't a matter of I didn't have any money I didn't have money saved the way I should have because I had to pay rent. I didn't have money saved the way I should have because my mentality wasn't where it should have been, right? Because even if I only had $20 to save after I paid all my bills, if I saved $20 every 2 weeks from the time I was 23 years old, I'm 37. That would have been something. Something is better than nothing, right? So I'm just thankful that God brought me a mighty long way when it comes to that. Where your girl could say, she got a nice stash in the bank. And I'm just trying to build off of it and build and build and build. I have goals for where I want, my money to be. And because even with my brands, like when I get good and ready to like seriously invest my coin into my brands or into something, I want to be able to not rely on someone else investing in me, right? Or solely someone else investing in me. Like, why should someone else give they good coin? Why, if I feel like my brand is good enough, why am I not investing my own coin? Why am I not going to my bank and getting a bank cashier's check to invest in whatever it is that I'm trying to do? So for me, it's to always have a stash. You just need to always have a stash. I'm recognizing, as well as anything that I am trying to do to elevate my brands or whatever may have you, whatever is on my agenda. I want to be able to make sure that I can invest in myself because I feel like I'm worth it and what I'm doing is worth it, and not looking to someone else to have to put up the money because I squandered my money, right? And I'm still not 100% of where I should be with this, but I'm glad that I have turned a good corner with it and that I have something to show, right? That's big for me. That's huge for me. Huge. And these are the kind of conversations that I would like for my girlfriends and I to be able to have even more, right? It's easy to gossip and to key and all of that. But like, let's talk about saving money. Let's talk about investments. Let's talk about stocks. Like, my husband's educating me on stocks right now. That's the game that he's in right now, right? Let's talk about stocks. Let's talk about home ownership. Let's talk about building homes from the ground up, right? Let's talk about these things. You know what I'm saying? Going back to what I initially said, I learn from a lot of people that I don't even know. I learn from YouTubers. There's this young couple, check them out. They're called Hen and Lon Vlogs. Hen, Hen, and Lon, Lon Vlogs. They are like in their mid to latter 20s. They built a home from the ground up. I think they live out in DC. They just had a baby who will be 1 year old. That's how I stumbled on their whole situation, because I was pregnant, and I was watching a lot of like labor and delivery vlogs, or just like pregnancy vlogs and things of that nature, and I stumbled on them. And I believe that they're Christians. They're like really, really cool. They're young, right? And it even reminded me, just because they're young, it doesn't mean you can't learn something from them, Chanel. Like, I've learned quite a few things. The wife loves to cook, so there's certain recipes that I'm learning when it comes to that, right? I'm getting my footing when it comes to my new normal. I'm no longer just a working wife. Like, now at this point, I'm like a stay-at-home mom and wife, right? Thank God, a stay-at-home mom that gets that income coming in, right? So it's not easy when you have a baby, right? So and he's attached to me at the hip. So now being able to make sure by the time my husband comes home from work, he's starving, he's tired, that I am able to cook, right? During my pregnancy, part of it, because my husband did a lot of cooking for me while I was pregnant. But I would say after we had the baby, it was a lot of ordering food and eating out, right? And my husband was like, babe, we can't keep doing this. One, it's costly, and two, it's not good for us health-wise, right? And so we naturally just started losing weight because I've been cooking all the time now, right? So I'm back to the normal of cooking all the time. And I ordered one of them HelloFresh boxes that I learned about from Hen and Lon Vlogs, used their discount code, and fell in love with it, where it's a food delivery service. They deliver the food to my door. I don't have to now go to the grocery store and, what does this recipe call for, and do all of this stuff. It comes delivered to my house. I freeze what I'm going to freeze and cook what I'm going to cook right away. And I love it. The ingredients are super fresh, and the recipes are bomb. It's giving me knowledge, once again, on how to make certain things. I never thought that I would have been able to make, what do you call it? Why can't I even remember it? A particular rice dish that's not easy to make. I never thought that I would have been able to make it. Like, I killed it. Like, it was amazing. Like, every dish that I've made from their recipes that you choose, right? It's a subscription service, so I'm not sponsored by them or any of that. I'm just imparting knowledge that I gained. But it's recipes that you select throughout their choices, and I would have never thought that I would have been able to make some of the things that I'm making, right? And so at least we all get to have a home cooked meal, right? I get to explore different recipes. My husband likes to be able to try different things. He doesn't like me always cooking the same old, right? Before I'm working, I ain't got time to be getting creative. I just got finished doing a 9-hour shift on my feet. Like, it is what it is. Like, that was more of my attitude then. Like, now, I'm home, so I have more room. I really don't, because I have a baby. It takes a lot of my time, but I do have a little more room once he gets home to be able to like experiment and do things. And I pick like 30-minute meals, quick things, but it feels good to be able to learn how to do certain things, to cook different recipes, to learn certain techniques in cooking. Like, I love that, so I'm getting my feet wet, and I'm figuring things out with my new normal. And to be honest with you, I want my son to grow up saying, yo, my mom could cook, and I always ate home-cooked meals, right? I don't want my kid growing up talking about, well, we always ate out. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to be good for him. That's not going to be good for his health. Like, I want him to be able to get home-cooked meals. I want him as a young man to learn how to cook, so he's not depending on a woman or anyone else to make meals for him. I want him to be very independent, So yeah, like, I'm all about that. So I think it's important for us to surround ourselves with people who are actually always putting their foot forward to do better, to be better within themselves, to grow, to advance, to progress. Like, these are important things. Like, as my brother always says, we can't still be sitting in the sandbox that we were doing when we were kids, thinking that our lives are just going to miraculously get better. Like, we have to work at that shit. Like, it's not going to just get better. Like, we're not going to just grow. Like, we actually have to put effort into it and to work at it. You know what I'm saying? Let's work at being happy for one another, right? Even if that very person is getting the very thing that you want before you, let's work on being happy for them. Yeah, man, like it's crazy. It's crazy. And sometimes I feel like just in you being supportive and happy and wishing others well, that only helps your own blessings. It only helps your own personal blessings. Like, you know, going back to independence, something as simple as cooking. That's another regret that I have. I always looked at cooking as if it was a chore. When I lived on my own, the amount of money I spent eating out, the amount of weight I gained eating out, like, unnecessary. There's something to be said. And matter of fact, you don't even have to be out your family's house to learn how to cook. You know, like you can start doing that stuff from then. Like, prepare yourself. Like, know how to cook. Even for yourself. I'm not saying women know how to cook so you can get you a man. Men, I feel like y'all should know how to cook yourselves. I'm not saying you have to be Chef Boyardee out here. I'm not saying you have to be one of some of these big time chefs. You ain't got to be Barefoot Contessa out here. But like, there should be basic things I feel like that you should be able to prepare on your own. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't got to wait for a woman to come around or a partner to come around and cook your meals. Like, learn how to do that stuff from now, like on your own. You know what I'm saying? Or pay attention to your mother or your father or your sister, whoever it is, your auntie, whoever burns and gets down with the cooking. Learn from them, you know? So I wish that I would have taken that more seriously and that I would have watched my mother more, you know? Would have saved me a lot of money, or that I was more adventurous and experimental when I was on my own and not afraid, you know what I'm saying? Thank God, you know, your girl could do a little something, and I'm actually wanting to push myself to get even better. But sometimes I wish that I was doing that for myself, right? So all these things go into the whole independence thing, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's just surround yourself with people who are about stuff and that are and not just the materialistic things, but ultimately they have a level head, like they think logically and rationally, like they're vulnerable, they're in touch with who they are, they actually like who they are. Like, if you got people like that in your life, hold on to them, keep them around, do right by them. Hopefully they're doing right by you, you know what I'm saying? Let's encourage one another. It took nothing from my college girlfriend to hit me up to be like, yo girl, I just want to let you know I'm praying for you. You know, I think about y'all. You're doing a good job as your mom. Like, it don't take nothing to like be able to spread that kind of love and light to people in our lives. You know what I'm saying? Even people that we don't talk to like that. If they come across your mind, I'll say this and I'll wrap this up soon. Like for me, we don't even have to be in on speaking terms like that, right? There are a few people who I just don't rock with, right? That doesn't mean that if you come across my mind or my heart that I'm not going to pray for you. Like, I have this thing, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, we have this thing every Wednesday. We pray, right? So we don't get on the phone and like literally pray together, but we know each other's prayer lists, right? And we add or subtract to it as needed. But every Wednesday, we know that we are sitting in our own quiet personal time and we are praying for one another. And I love that she brought that to me, and I love that I agreed to do it because it helps me to really think about other people and pray for them, like to be intentional with my prayers for other people. It's not just about me and my family. You know, I actually pray for friends. I actually pray for people who maybe I'm no longer friends with or close to. You know, I pray for people, maybe we worked together and we weren't that close, but you came across my mind and I said a prayer for you. Like, it's a time to be intentional about praying for others. And I love that. You know, and so we've been doing this throughout the whole quarantine, like when things were really bad, like back in April, I believe, we've been doing this, and we've kept it up. It's like an unspoken thing, and if we need to kind of send a text to say, hey sis, could you add this? Or, you know, that's what we do. But I think it's great, you know what I'm saying? So let's like pray for one another. Let's like think of other people. You know, like, let's just all around try to be the very people we will want someone to be to us. You know what I'm saying? I think that is like the conglomerate of everything that I might have recorded in these episodes that didn't see the light of day. yeah. And, I always end with a tidbit of, because I feel like a lot of us, especially with this pandemic kind of having us alienated and separated from one another and not having the level of human interaction that's healthy and that we were accustomed to, it's so easy to just sink into television and Netflix and Hulu and Apple TV and just entertainment in general, sports and all these celebrities and YouTube and celebrity gossip and reality TV, just for us to remember that these things, entertainment, for whatever reasons, I believe has been designed to numb us, to desensitize us to the foolery that happens in this world, to desensitize us from evil even. A lot of entertainment is here to dumb us down and to kind of keep us blind, right? So I started off by saying, let's keep our eyes open. Let's look beyond the veil. Let's not take things at face value. And I'm going to end it saying those same things. I know on my Facebook page, I kind of put up, Dave Chappelle, him speaking out against the industry with certain things. And, then it was I forgot her name. Is her name China? She's a young lady that was on Tyler Perry's Daddy's Girls, and she works with him with other projects. I believe she's on Black Lightning on one of those shows now, and she's about to leave, and she just kind of broke down, and she was talking very cryptically, probably for self-protection and preservation and not to get blackballed in the business. But a lot of these I'll call them artists, right? Because they're sharing their art with the world in some way. A lot of them, I believe, are miserable and unhappy and are like, yo, I thought that me really being successful in this entertainment industry is what I wanted and was going to be the end all be all for all my problems and the very thing that I've worked so hard for. And I just want to say for all of us to just be careful, right? Because I'm coming to see that there are a lot more of us than not that want to be in that industry and work and thrive and be super successful in that industry. And it's not to say that you can't, but just be careful. A lot of it is smoke and mirrors. The lot of success that I think many people want low key, that they really don't want to say. Like I said, I only know one person in my whole entire life that said, my main goal in life is to be famous. There's only one person that I encountered in my life that straight up and down said, I want to be famous, right? I feel like everybody else who's dibbled and dabbled or who works in that industry, a lot skirt around it, They may say they want to be successful. Nobody really owns it and is like, yo, I want to be the next big thing. I want to be famous. I want the world to know who I am. I want to be a million gazillionaire, right? And so for those that low key, because most people low key want this, right? Want that, I say be careful. Keep your eyes open, because as my mom always says, be careful for what you wish for, because you just might get it. And then you gotta want what you got. You gotta want what you get, right? So I feel like a lot of these artists, they're not happy. A lot of them are being controlled. A lot of them have decided to succumb and do certain things that they would not have normally done, things that may go against their moral code. A lot of them have sold their souls for money, riches, fame. And it's all smoke and mirrors, folks. And so just be careful. I am not saying this is a horrible thing for you to want to be very successful in this industry. I just say, please keep your eyes open. When people that are in the industry who are super successful are actually speaking out about what's going on, pay attention. Okay? Like, some people are risking their lives and or livelihood to speak out about certain things. Pay attention. Everybody's not lying out here, y'all. Everybody ain't lying out here. So I always like to end it there. with that being said, I hope that you all, I should have started this vlog out this way. I hope that you all had an amazing Thanksgiving. I know I definitely did. It was my first Thanksgiving being a mama. We enjoyed it thoroughly. I was just here with my husband and my parents, and of course our baby. It was just so sweet to be able to like have a baby during the holidays. He's too young to understand anything that's going on, but one thing I will say is that even babies, they are very in tune with what they feel in their environments, right? And so we're always trying to create a very loving and healthy environment for our son, and he was able to feel that. And we're looking forward to Christmas, with him, and having gifts for him under the tree, and things that'll help him developmentally, and so it's such a sweet thing. This year being such a crazy year for all of us, I can honestly say that I am just super thankful to be alive, to still have air in these lungs. I am super thankful for the fact that I got through a pregnancy during a pandemic, COVID free. I am thankful that I got through labor and delivery. I had to have a C-section, and that I didn't hemorrhage and die on that table. I'm thankful that I am still here to be able to raise my child. I am thankful that he was able to come into this world as a healthy little boy. I am thankful that my husband and we made 6 years of marriage in October. I am thankful that he and I are on this journey of having a child of our own. I am thankful that I am healthy and well, right? I am thankful that my parents are healthy and well. My brother and his wife are healthy and well. I'm thankful that my friends ultimately are healthy and well. I'm thankful that I have girlfriends who have found love. One is on the road to marriage. One is like literally on the road to marriage, and then one, I think that'll be her reality soon. I'm thankful that there's so many people that I know who are homeowners, who've been able to achieve that kind of a blessing. I am thankful. I am now even more thankful for everything that this pandemic robbed from us, if I'm being honest. I'm thankful for the fact that, I will be thankful for the fact of just being able to have face-to-face interaction. My best friend and I, shout outs to you, Rena Bina, we were able to meet up a few weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, at one of our favorite restaurants, Yard House, that was still open. And we were able to spend time safely. And it was just something so refreshing to be able to be at the dinner table with my best friend, and to be able to be at one of our favorite restaurants and just really hear what's been going on in her life, and for her to hear what's going on with me and my new journey as a mom, for her to spend time with my baby as well. We've seen each other throughout the pandemic, but we haven't had any one-on-one time. So the fact that we were able to have one-on-one time, I think was pretty amazing and dope. And something like that was a norm for us, like us meeting up for dinner and chopping it up. That was a normal Friday night every now and then, or Saturday afternoon, you know what I'm saying? And it was so surreal to now be able to see that it's not just me, Chanel, the married single friend, but it was us coming to the table as two mothers, right? A mom, my friend who's more seasoned as a mother, she has a 7-year-old, and me who's new to the game, who's about to have a 5-month-old, right? So that was pretty cool. And so those are things that I will not or no longer take for granted, just being able to hang out and spend time with my good girlfriends, you know what I'm saying? So I was thankful to be able to have that time with her. But yeah, like there's just so much that I'm thankful for. I am not necessarily, everybody's like, oh, we can't wait till 2020 is over and 2021. Like, we don't know what 2021 is going to bring. Hopefully things get better, but there's a chance that things may get worse or be the same. So for me, it's just preparing myself as best as I can for the unknown, and walking into this next year with the spirit of gratitude regardless of what, right? And that's easier said than done. And that's one of my prayers, that I am able to walk into 2021 with a heart of gratitude at the end of the day. And God has been so good to me this year. I ain't going to question the validity of him being real. I know he's real. He's been amazing to me. He has showed himself to me on more than one occasion in my life. Furthermore, in 2020, every time I look at my son, I know that there is a God. I'm sorry, you can't tell me that science did that. You can't tell me that the universe did that. You can't tell me that pulling tarot cards was going to lead me to being able to have a baby. Like, no. God did that. And when I say God, I'm not low-key talking about the devil. When I say God, I'm talking about Jesus Christ, right? So, he's continuing to make himself real to me, and I'm here for it. He definitely, we be on that main line, or I be on that main line all the time. So, yes, so I'm just thankful. I'm just thankful. I'm hopeful. I'm realistic in the same vein. And yeah. So my Zen is everything and more to me, especially now that I have a little one. And I'm about keeping people around who are about that advancement progression. And I'm, like I said, once again, that's not just about materialistic things, right? People who are just constantly working on themselves and who know how to be happy for others and who know how to be good to others, who know how to pray for others, right? No low-key shade, low-key jealousy, hating. Like, I ain't got time for any of that. Like, gone are the days that I'm trying to keep people around me who are with the foolery. Like, no, not having that. Don't got time for it. So, people who are willing to put in the work, and for themselves and in the friendship, and to be good to other people. Like, let's be good to one another. You know what I'm saying? When we get blessed, let's try to bless other people out here, But anyway, I've been on for about an hour and 30 minutes. I need to go upstairs and get back to my baby. My husband has to work in the morning. Thank y'all so much. Once again, continue to rock out with your girl. As it pertains to my podcast, I'm thinking of changing the vehicle in which it is disseminated, right? So just always follow me on Instagram at complexedsimplicity09 or my Facebook page, Complexed Simplicity, so you know what's going on, what's dropping, if a new episode is up. But yes, continue to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about the Candid Talk with Chanel podcast. Go to my website, complexedsimplicity.com, and my YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, all that great stuff, Complexed Simplicity. And thank you. Be safe, and until